Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Wealth Creation Show. This is the last one of 2024, actually.
Wow.
And, and then we'll go into
That was a
next year.
quick year, eh? I tell you
Yeah,
what, though, there's a lot of people out there talking about how their achievements in 2024.
yeah,
And I'll be honest, there's some people actually made comments already about the fact that really I didn't want to know. I don't want to know about other people's achievements. Um, and they're kind of a wee bit right, but I want to really point out the achievement I really want to talk about is the fact that how much we've helped our community and how
yeah.
much we've put back into our community from what we do. And I think for me, that's the biggest achievement. About what would be yours, Richard?
Yeah, I think obviously, yeah, and you're right about the giving back to the community thing. And I think that is something that people want to hear about. Definitely, because it's obviously, especially for local people that tune in, because it's all for the betterment of their surrounding community and area and things as well. I mean, a lot of my things for the last year is a lot about personal development and how I've changed in terms of how I do things and how I approach things. For
Mhm.
me, there's a lot of work to be done, but I think that everybody there is. But I think I've come a long way in a bit in the last 12 months. So for me, it's a
There's
personal
always a
development.
lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
There's always a lot of work. And anybody says that they've reached their destination, they've
Mhm.
probably never achieved anything really.
No.
Because anybody that's any success always realizes success isn't a destination, it's our own continuous journey. And
Yeah.
it's always going to go on until the day you pop your clogs. And then when you pop your clogs, you're probably geared it. If you are mildly successful or really successful in what you do, you've geared it to a point where whatever it is you've got will succeed without you.
Mhm.
That I think that for me is the ultimate thing about success. But we're going to talk today about the 8 habits. You
Yeah.
had actually come up with it. We'd actually know. Oh, this would be a really good one.
Yeah.
8 habits of people who become more beautiful and confident with age, according to psychology.
Yeah.
Do you notice how I've improved with age?
This is a good one, though, and these 8 habits are really good.
I was looking at
So,
Elon Musk the other day, and I was like, "Wait a minute, he was bald at one point when he was with PayPal. Where's he got his hair from? He's
he's got
obviously had a
hair,
hair
yeah.
transplant." And then I
He
was looking
must
at
have.
it, going, "I wonder if I should have a hair transplant."
I
That's a
think
thing to think about, eh?
that would be quite strange to see you with a full head of hair. But anyway,
I'm not really sure if I want to bother with the upkeep. When you think about this is logical. The upkeep about having to prune your hair and all the rest of it's like, nah, for no intrinsic value add, as far as I'm concerned. I couldn't care
mhm,
less what I look like to other people. It makes no difference to me at all. But to other people, it's so important. I mean, how
yeah,
about being beautiful and confident with age. Now, we had this discussion previously, Richard,
yeah,
about um, how beautiful and confident. And I said to you, and I'll say it again, and this is a great one for other people to think of as well. Yeah, you're absolutely
you're
right.
laughing at the Finder's
Lucinda.
comment, yeah.
Save money on shampoo. Hey, unfortunately, I used wash and go, and literally I washed it and it did go. So maybe that shampoo is not the right one to use. Wash and go. Sorry, wash and go. It was, pun on
Yeah,
what you do. But I'll talk to you about this, Richard. If I gave you £1 million right
okay,
now, and it was
right,
in your bank, and you had £1 million in your bank right now,
okay.
would you feel more beautiful within yourself, and would you feel more confident within yourself?
Well, I think the confidence thing, definitely. You would immediately because you feel, I don't know whether it's something to do with the stress factors or maybe less, do you know, because you know you've got that behind you. It would completely shift my confidence, I think, to know that I had that type of money in the bank.
Okay, so what's different between now and then? The £1 million.
£1 million, yeah, it would be.
So why do you need the £1 million to feel confident and beautiful then? If you could just, if you feel like that right now and you've not even got it in the bank, because I just told you, if you had £1 million in the bank right now, would you feel more beautiful and
Mhm.
confident? And you automatically said absolutely. And
Yeah,
I saw that within you straight away that you actually immediately felt beautiful and confident more.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you did it without the £1 million.
yeah. Because you could actually kind of, not fully, but you could kind of manifest that feeling by imagining if I had that in the bank, this is how I would feel. So,
But
yeah,
you actually nailed it. And I'll come back to saying it's like the hurricane. The Lamborghini Huracan, it's like I went through the whole process of manifesting it and buying it and what it would feel like to buy it and everything like that. And I genuinely feel at some point in time, I've actually owned a Lamborghini Huracan and I've not.
You
But
feel like you've had that, yeah.
yeah, but because I've gone through the whole thing. It's like the person that got the fake lottery ticket and they won the £1 million and they actually ran about the room screaming and shouting, thinking they've won £1 million and they've won the lottery. And then their husband or their partner says to them, well, it was a fake ticket, you've no won it. And he expected, or she expected, it's like they was going to get pelts and like really beaten senseless. And in fact, what did you mean? You've done that to me. And so, but the actual person turned around and says, you'll never know what it's like to win the lottery. I have. I do.
Yeah, have that feeling, yeah.
But if you can keep that feeling with you every single time, then what's to stop you doing that? And more or less, you're tricking your mind into it.
Yeah.
You're not delusional. All you're doing is, we used to call it fake it till you make it, but not delude people and not make people, as long as it doesn't affect other people, as long as it doesn't, the typical gurus that we have about, this is how you build a buy-to-let business, this is how you invest in property, and then you look at their accounts and they're no worth the paper they're written on. They're like on minus 10,000 or they're a few £1,000s and they've not got any assets at all. They've got nothing, and yet they talk about as if they're super wealthy and they've got everything, and that's never the case. You got a lot of them like that, especially just now. I'm getting retargeted something rotten with sourcers and investment schemes and all the rest of it on social media. Yeah, absolutely. It's because of the background that we come from and what we talk about and what we're involved in ourselves. But for me personally, it genuinely is about, you kind of have to be there. You kind of have to. Matthew McConaughey talked about it before, didn't he? He talked about, who do you admire? And he says, well, it's me in 10 years' time. That's the person I admire. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, he says, I imagine what I want to be in 10 years' time, what type of person I want to be, and where I want to be, and how I want to act, and all right down to the minutiae detail. That's what he does. But then what happens is within him, he starts to then think about how he's going to get there. And he starts to act like the person he should be at that point in 10 years' time. And then he works towards it. So there's no surprise when he gets there in 10 years' time. It wasn't, 10 years' time and I'll switch to that person. It was like, oh, I'm there. Or I'm further forward. Or I'm partway there. More than I was when I first started. That's what a lot of people don't realize, how they become more beautiful and confident with age, according to psychology. Definitely, because age on your side has experience and expertise and wisdom. And I'll be honest, it's that old thing about, you see the meme about, as I get older, I didn't give a fuck anymore. Kind of like that. Excuse my French, folks. But as you get older, you become less tolerant with people. You just become like, I'm not taking anybody's bullshit anymore. I've lived that life already. I've seen this story and I've seen that person do this before. It's like, I'm not taking anything. You've gone around once, and it's like, you're, by the way, this is not a dress rehearsal life. You ain't getting a second chance at this. There's no encore. You're not coming back. You better make the most of it now, especially when it's coming up to a new year, when everybody starts to make their resolutions. Have you got your resolutions? Are you going to tell us in the comments? Are you going to tell us what your New Year's resolutions is going to be? That'll be quite interesting. And are you going to hang yourself by your tongue? Hung by your tongue. That's what I used to say. It's like, I've said it, so I'm going to have to do it, because everybody now sees I've said it. Everybody now hears I've said it. It's like, I've said it publicly, all these different things. This is why when I said I'm going to buy 50 properties, and actually we posted it the other day. It was on yesterday's post as a short, and it actually had, I'm going to buy 50 properties in 4 years. That's what I'm saying. That's what I said to you, and I said to Kesa. I bought 60 properties in 2.5 years.
Wow. So you exceeded your goal,
Wow. See what I mean about what you program yourself with, what you'll end up getting. Energy flows where focus goes. Every single time. Remember that phrase. Energy flows where focus goes. If you're focusing on negative all the time, guess where your energy's going? And it's getting sucked up and it's getting eaten and it's getting taken away. You need to snap out of that. You need to snap out of that, definitely. And this is why we're going to talk about the 8 habits at people who become more beautiful and confident with age, according to psychology. It is a matter of habits. It is a matter of talking yourself into it. Remember, your brain is literally just a computer. That's all it is. And its unconscious mind, it works things. You just breathe because your brain tells you to and says, yep, that's what you're meant to do to stay alive. And you don't do it. You do it unconsciously now. You just breathe because it's like you don't need to think about breathing. So you can convince your mind to get to a point is you don't need to think about being wealthy or working out the way to be wealthy anymore. It just happens naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody actually stopped me and says, wait a minute. This morning it said, I thought you were retired. I went, yeah, but what do you do now then? Well, I buy portfolios. That's all I'm doing. I'm buying portfolios. I let the rest of the team run the letting agency and the sales agency, but I literally just buy portfolios, oversee that, and then we're expanding to Glasgow, Edinburgh, and Dundee and Perth as well. And to see how we get on. He says, God, I thought but how's that retirement? I went, retirement's not about sitting on the porch watching your dog die as you wither away in front of him. Retirement's about enjoying yourself and doing the things you really wanted to do that you never had the chance to do before. So the quickest you can get to retirement is the fastest you'll get to do the things you ever wanted to do. Now, what stops you? What's the age for retirement, Richard? And a common question, what would be the age for retirement?
Is it not 64?
Yeah. 67, I think it is.
67, sorry, 67.
So who's to say there's an age in retirement? Who made that rule? You could retire anytime you want. You could maybe never start.
Yeah, everybody just got kind of indoctored into them that it's, obviously, well, it used to be 64, but 67, yeah.
Yeah, we're conditioned as a society to say you retire at 67 years old or 65 years old. But what's to stop you from retiring? Money.
Yeah, of course.
That's the only thing. It's the only thing. So the quicker you can accumulate wealth, remember wealth's not taxable, the quicker you can accumulate wealth, the quicker you can retire. Hence the reason why I retired at 38. I
was going to say you were 38, yeah.
But to other people, it's not like retirement. Everybody says, but you're not retired, you're working. But I'm doing something I really want to do, but I'm doing it when I want to do it as well. I'm not bound by the normal rules.
Yeah, you're not bound, and you're not accountable to anybody else or have to answer and work to a schedule as such. You just do your own thing.
Remember my thing about living till 120 years old?
Yeah.
Instantly enough, actually, Jimmy Carter passed away, 100 years old. And I looked at Jimmy and I thought, I'm going to be running a triathlon at 100 years old. And I looked at Jimmy Carter and went, do you think he could run a triathlon? Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. So then I have to work out and look at Jimmy Carter and think to myself, what did Jimmy Carter do that I shouldn't be doing?
Yeah, and learn
to not be able to do that. To not be able to do that. Now, also take into account what Richard Branson says to me. It's like, Jim, you need to live in the present rather than living in the future. But you have to look to the future to make sure you're actually, the marginal gains that you're going to get in your health in order, because you're not going to get to 100 years old and think, I've got to change my ways. You're too late. You're not going to get to 80-year-old, 60-year-old, 50-year-olds, whatever age it is. You're not going to get there and think you've got to change your ways at that point in time. You're too late by then.
Yeah, you
have to do it now. The marginal gains. Hence the reason why I'm quite disciplined. My breakfast has basically changed to 5 tablespoons of oats, right? Tablespoon of pumpkin seed, tablespoon of chia, tablespoon of flax, raw, in other words, blanched, basically, peanuts. So there's no additives on them, just raw peanuts as they stand, and also raisins as well. And then with organic soya milk. So there's no toxins. There's no toxins on organic soya milk because it's organic for that reason. So that's what I consist every single morning, disciplined to have that for my breakfast. And then in the afternoon, what do I have? Cold pressed juice.
Yeah.
It looks absolutely disgusting. But I'll guarantee you,
you.
this will give you every single nutrition you will ever need for your body. You could survive on this for the rest of your life, by the way. You wouldn't need to take anything else because this has everything that it needs. That is my afternoon regime.
Drink coffee.
There you go. So that's in the morning, that's in the afternoon, and tonight it will be complete whole food, start from scratch cooking.
Yeah.
It will not be. I mean, this isn't. Remember, this isn't about denial. For me, this isn't about denial. This is about making sure you're just making marginal gains. So yeah, absolutely, I'll go out and I'll have ultra high processed food now and again from somewhere. I'm not going to deny myself and go, oh my God, that's going to take 3 days off my life. You'll never know. I might make it to 100. You never know, but I'll make it to 120. I'm going to be 120. I don't know, but I tell you what, hopefully I'll still be as I am. Remember what I said to you before. I think now, if I was to look at my 21-year-old self, I would kick the ass of my 21-year-old self now. Definitely. When it came to fitness, when it came to health, when it came to wealth, in every single category, I would have the advantage of my 21-year-old self.
Yeah, now you know what you know.
Now that I know what I know. But even in my health, my 21-year-old self would never have been able to do a triathlon. Would never have gone up mountains. Would never have done any of that stuff. And that's the fundamental difference. So it's the shift that you have. And when you're younger, I think you're invincible and you don't even take stock of that as a result. And because you're younger, you think you're just going to live forever.
And you've got plenty of time to sort things or change things.
This is when you start the drink, cigarettes, cigars, ultra high processed food, lack of sleep. Sleep, apparently, I've been analysing that. I've been looking into that as well. I've got my Garmin watch, the 965 Forerunner, which is the ultra triathlon watch. But it actually monitors your sleep and everything else as well, and your pattern of behaviour, your deep sleep, your REM sleep, your continuous sleep, all the rest of it, and scores you. It also gives you advice on what you should be doing with your body battery, which is your whole body itself, your energy, about what you should be doing in terms of training as well. It gives you advice based on the feedback it gets. So I kind of wear this all the time. I don't wear it when I go to my bed. I put it on my ankle. It's a pain in the neck. It's like, it lights up in the middle of the night. It's like flipping heck. It lights up in the middle of the night if you move it. See? It goes off and on depending on how you move it. And it does have a sleep pattern to do that, but still, I put it on my ankle so it's out the way, and it doesn't annoy me. There's a lot of things that annoy me. Even to get the right sleep, here's what I do. Here, I have one earplug, silicone earplug, and whatever earplug ear goes on the pillow, the silicone earplug goes in the other one. That's how I do it. So I put a silicone earplug in the other one straight away, Richard, to make sure I don't hear any noise at all. And that's what keeps my continuous sleep pattern as well. So I think it's just now this isn't all at once. This is just a habit forming and building up towards that. Yeah, I talked about I'm vegan, right? Okay, that'll rub some people up the wrong way straight away. That's your problem, not mine, because I don't care about what you think about me being vegan. It makes no difference to me.
Yeah,
it's a combination of my health plus the fact it's good for the environment and animals as well. But I think, as a result, I would just ignore some of these comments. They're just tubes. We get to see some of the comments coming through, and that's fine. You can say anything you want, but at some point in time, we'll just click on that and we'll just delete you and ban you. You'll never see us ever again, which is probably good news. But you'll never learn anything about creating wealth or building wealth at all, or anything from all the people I've spoken to before me.
Well, what I'm picking up on, and when you're talking about how you've made these changes and things, Jim, it's like you say, it's not something that you've done overnight, especially like you're being vegan and changing how you eat and how you are active and things. It's all things that you've changed gradually over the years. And, like you say, incremental changes instead of trying to change everything at once. And that's where people fall foul. And it's a really good topic for us to talk about today, 30th of December. We're just about at New Year.
This is quite interesting before we start.
Talk about the habits,
Rosie actually, no about the habits. Rosie actually said here, make sure you're smashing the like button, folks, the like button, and also you're subscribing to the channel. I've had loads and loads of people contact me all the time, Rosie, about, oh, I can build your presence and I can build your profile online. And my answer to that is, I couldn't give a fuck. Honestly, I don't care. These wealth creation shows were created for my generations of children to come, and my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, my great-great-grandchildren. And when I'm dead, they will still be able to learn all the knowledge and expertise I've learned over the years to where I got to, how I got to a multi-millionaire. That's the whole point. The wealth creation shows are here. We had even thought about taking them offline completely. But the great thing is they're here for years to come, and the generations will learn from it after this. And that's why I couldn't care less about how many people are subscribed in this channel, how many people like this channel. It was never for anybody watching this or listening to it. They just get the benefit of having it, and it's up to them. And whether nobody listens to it, it makes no difference to us.
We do have a handful of people that consistently watch, and Lucinda, obviously, I work with Lucinda. So
I wish I had, honestly, Richard, I wish I had someone like me to listen to and actually to learn from when I first started out. I had no idea. I was a complete cynic, and I used to look at books when it says how to be a millionaire, and I said, yeah, what you do is write a book about how to be a millionaire, you sell it to everybody, and you become a millionaire. That's how to be a millionaire. That was my cynical approach to it when I was about 16, 17. I was in a different mindset at that time. We've spoken about that before in previous shows, about my mindset at that point in time, how it was quite challenging for me based on what had happened to me before that. But now I know that. And so that's the difference. But you're absolutely right. It's habit forming. It's continuous improvement. It's all these things. Let's then quickly go through some of the 8 habits. The embracing optimism has to be one for me. I mean, I actually spoke to someone the other day about this, and they said it was Susan who worked with us. Do you know, no matter what situation you ever get, Jim, you always have an optimistic view of it. And I'm like, do I? I never really. It's like the brain. It's like breathing. I'm just an optimist now. You know how people see the glass half full and the glass half empty. I see the glass full.
Yeah.
I don't see half full. I see full. Glass is always full. You can choose to be what you want to be at any point in time.
It'll be related to the, like you were just saying earlier about, and you're obviously wise to the fact that if you've got that negative mindset and that negative outlook, that's the thing that drains all your energy, and all your energy goes into the negativity. So positivity and optimism and enthusiasm are the things that you really need to have in order to keep yourself going. And then you're never going to be successful if you're completely bogged down with negativity or people around you that's negative as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say so. And so it's all about making sure you embrace optimism. Look at every single situation and think to yourself, where is the positive aspect to this? Give you some recent examples. Rent controls. Maybe the best thing ever happened to the buy-to-let industry, because it taught every single landlord that they should be putting their rent up every single year. Worst thing that happened to every single tenant is rent controls. Sorry? Worst thing? I thought it was meant to protect the tenant from getting their rents increased. No, it's taught every single landlord, even the ones that never increased their rents before, to increase their rents every year. So every single tenant now has their rents increased every single year, all because of rent controls. It also gets rid of all the, part-time landlords, the landlords that are just getting by. They've maybe accidental landlord, maybe inherited a property as a result of it from someone else, and they've inherited the property and thought, I've just had enough. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with the hassle anymore. There's no hassle if you've got a letting agent doing it for you, by the way. That's an easy gig if you've taught them correctly what to do and for you. Then there's no hassle at all involved in it. The hassle is in your mind. It's the amount of times you play that same record over and over again, or the negativity it encourages. And this is why I talk about focus goes where energy flows, or the energy flows where the focus goes every single time. So just don't play that record anymore. You don't need to play the same record over and over again in your mind, or tape, or now a podcast or whatever digital form. I'm not really sure. When I talk about records and tapes, I age myself completely, don't I? Vinyl. Vinyl to the youth today. That's a record, by the way.
Yeah.
Is vinyl. So embracing optimism is really a good one to do. It doesn't. It's not ignoring everything round about you. It's not ignoring any hardships. It's not having this Pollyanna view of the world, forever optimism. Oh, somebody's died. Oh, well, let's look at the optimism in that. No, it's nothing like that. That's
No.
just stupidity. That's almost delusional, I would say. So
Yeah.
there's you just have to be that optimistic mindset and think to yourself, where is the good in this? I mean, everything that's happened to me in the past has been bad in anybody's view, and in my view at that time, has actually led me to here. And I quite like it here, actually. So
and it's all been part of your journey,
yeah. So why would I not embrace everything that's happened to me in the past and look at it as a positive thing that happened, because it taught me a lesson. It's either a lesson or a blessing, put it that way.
Yeah.
And that's when it comes back to your second one you talked about here, Richard, about the cultivating gratitude.
Gratitude, yeah.
Definitely cultivate gratitude. I mean, we could be thankful every single day for something, and maybe start teaching yourself towards that.
Yeah, I think it is an incredibly powerful thing to be able to be quite, thankful for things around you and have that level of gratitude. And I think a lot of people don't have it, and always think like the world's against them and things, rather than being thankful for what they actually have. Because we in this society, although maybe we feel a wee bit hard done by, when you look at other people in the world, you've not got a lot to worry about. You should really be quite grateful and thankful.
It's quite interesting. You'll get people, especially because we're coming up to New Year in a couple of days' time, how they'll say 2024 was a horrible year. Why do you need to categorize it as 2024? Yeah. Who says you need to say it's a year? Who says you need to start your New Year's resolutions on the 1st of January?
I know.
Who says that?
I know, it's just...
You've been completely, for want of a better word, controlled, programmed.
Yeah.
Controlled and programmed. You've been controlled and programmed by your circumstances, by the people around about you. Who says that New Year needs to start? As far as I'm concerned, New Year starts in April the 6th, because it's the new tax year. That's all I'm interested in. It's like, at what point? And it's tax year for me. I couldn't care less about the 1st of January and all the rest of it. It's just another day. So who says? You've got to think about these things. Think about where you are. Think about why you're feeling like that. Think about things that challenge it. Why does it have to be that day? Why does it have to be that year? Why does it have to be at that time? Why? Is there a reason behind it? Or can you do it? And it's the retirement. Why does it need to be you can only retire at 67 years old? You could retire anytime you want.
Yeah.
It's in your grasp. It's in your hands. Just need to understand it. It's having the gratitude towards that. Thank God. I'm not religious to a degree. I know that there's maybe a higher purpose for most of us or all of us, but you have to find that for yourself. Whether it's a religious thing or not is entirely up to you. Some people hold on to that and it helps them through their process and their journey. Some people just think, I've got a purpose. To have a purpose in life for most people, and to have gratitude for it and embrace that optimism, it's definitely the way forward for them.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think what a lot of people don't have, or maybe lack, is a lot of people don't have purpose or don't know what their purpose is in life, and that could leave you quite lost, I think. And then that's where people don't have that gratitude or thankfulness for what.
Can we not just say that the fact that you're working out your purpose is a purpose? So there you go. You've got a purpose.
That's quite a good point, actually. Yeah.
So just tell yourself, I've got a purpose.
Your level of optimism again,
I've got
Jim.
a purpose because I'm working out a purpose. So you must have. You've got a purpose to work out your purpose in life. There you go. That's your purpose.
That's your glass full approach, Jim, definitely.
and that's the sort of thing you've got to. I don't know where life will take me next, but what I do know is I'm going to enjoy the journey, whatever it is. Whether it's in anybody's opinion, good or bad, I will still enjoy the journey. regardless and irrespective of anything that happens round about it.
Yeah.
That's the reality. And when you get to that stage, nothing will stop you. This is quite an interesting one. We'll talk about Buffett and Bill Gates.
Yeah, go now.
Let's talk about this. Anybody wants to, let's sidetrack this a wee bit and talk about this. Warren Buffett was talking to Bill Gates one day, and Bill Gates was trying to convince Warren to have a computer. And he said to Warren, you need to have a computer and all the rest of it. And Warren was going like, what for? And Bill says, well, to work out your income. And he went, well, I've only got one stock I invest in, and it famously doesn't pay a dividend. So I don't have any income, says Warren. And Bill went, well, okay then. Well, what to work out your tax? He says, well, again, as I said, I don't need to work out my tax, so why would I need a computer? And then Warren turned around to Bill and said, well, you know, I tell you what, will it change people chewing gum? And Bill's like, what? Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about. It probably won't. Well, will it stick to chewing gum, or well, I tell you what we'll do. I'll stick to chewing gum, and you stick to computers. And that was there was a moral to this, and why he said this to him.
Okay.
He doesn't need computers. Bill doesn't need to chew gum. And the moral of the story is, you don't have to understand why everything works or how everything works in order to see if you should invest in it. You only need to understand what your core competence is.
Right. Okay.
That's all. Does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? If you're a baseball person, for example, it's not about trying to hit every single pitch it's pitched at you. It's about waiting for the right pitch to come along, to swing. And there's lots of opportunity that can come along over a period of time, but you don't have to swing at them all. In fact, and listen to this, this is key and instrumental here. In fact, you can look at opportunity all the time, but only when the numbers work should you actually swing.
Yeah.
Should you actually take that shot? You only need a few ones to work, though, to become wealthy. You only need about 5 things in your whole life to work, and your opportunities to actually be extremely wealthy in life.
Okay.
Yet people are convinced they have to have multiple income streams from all these different areas, and they jump from place to place. And here's the clincher: they swing every single time the opportunity comes along. Every single time.
And
Amount of time it's wasted as a result of swinging on stuff.
all that time.
This is it.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to find out about crypto. Oh, I've got to find out about currency trading. Oh, I've got to find out about buy to let. Oh, I've got to find out about serviced accommodation. Oh, I've got to find out about this, you know. Oh, I've got to find out about crypto. Forget it.
Yeah.
Stick to your knitting and what you're really good at. And remember to eat your own cooking when you're teaching people.
Yeah.
Are you teaching people what you do yourself? Absolutely. This is what I do. So think about this as well. I'll give you an example. If I was to give you just 20 decisions in life that you could make and invest in, which will make a fundamental difference to you personally, do you think you'd do your due diligence?
Of course you would.
And your homework? And do you think you'd take less swings at the bat? You would, wouldn't you? When the ball came, you would, wouldn't you?
You would wait till you felt like the right opportunities were in front of you.
If you only had 20 decisions to make in life and your investing strategy, you would make sure definitely that you would spend a lot more time doing your due diligence and your homework beforehand. And this is what I say. A lot of people try to do 100 swings and they spread themselves far too thin, and they don't do the due diligence and they lose quite a lot as a result of it.
Yeah.
You should take it down and to that core competence, that level. That's what you're looking for. And that's the lesson that you learn out of that when Buffett talked to Gates. Buffett doesn't need to invest in computers. He got the opportunity to invest in Amazon and he didn't. And everybody goes, oh my God, why did He's got billions. He's one of the richest men in the world. Why does he need to take a swing at Amazon as well? To make more money? For what purpose?
Yeah, I mean, he's already got so much.
The man has everything he ever wanted. And everybody else has a benefit as a result of that. And everybody invests with him. And the amount of money he gives away to charity is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It pales into significance for us personally, you know, what he does and what Gates does and what Branson does and what Bezos does and what Sergey does, Sergey Brin of Google.
Yeah.
The guy builds ships as hospitals around the world. So when a disaster comes along, his ship turns up on the hospital ship, and actually sorts everything out. That is his charitable purpose.
That's quite good, actually.
See? And yet, if he'd never amassed this wealth, this would never have existed.
Mm-hmm.
And people castigate them for it. And yet look at the good that they're doing with what they've got as a result.
I think that's quite an important thing as well. When these people that amass all this fortune, they're doing things to give back. And like you said, even just on the smaller scale like you do, local communities and the local community and giving back and things, I think that's really where you need to focus, especially when you get to a certain point in your journey and your success and building wealth.
So let's jump back to because I like going around the house. Let's jump back to the third one here. You've got staying physically active.
Yeah, and we already kind of touched on it at the beginning when we were talking about your journey and how you, for a young 21-year-old to where you are now and your physical abilities and your physical, and it was all about implementing those changes and how you approached.
Here is the key thing that you have to know about your physical when you're older. When you get beyond 50, right? Okay. You have to make sure this is the key thing. It doesn't matter about your upper body. Forget that. Whether you look buff or no is completely irrelevant. Mm-hmm. The most important thing is your leg muscles.
Okay.
Why do I talk about your leg muscles? Because it impairs your ability to do anything. If you don't have your leg muscles or you don't have enough muscle, you can't walk, you can't run, you can't do anything. You can't lift anything, you can't do anything. So the most important muscles that you need to look after in your body when you get older and you need to keep going and keep exercising is your leg muscles.
Right.
That's what killed my father. Basically, no about exercise because he couldn't walk.
Mm-hmm.
Everything deteriorated. His core deteriorated as well. Twisted bowel. Put it back. Told him it'll just keep happening because you've got no muscle internally anymore. You've got nothing at all now because you've not done any exercise at all. So your bowel will just twist, your stomach will just twist again, and all the rest of it, and it'll always still happen. You are on your way out, and literally that was it. That was the end. Right. Week later, gone. All because of that, because of his leg muscles. If he hadn't stayed active, if he'd stayed active, and had made sure of that. So staying physically active is essential. And I mean, physically, just a daily thing. If you can't run, walk.
Walk, yeah.
If you can't walk, crawl. If you have to. If you can't do much else, just sit on a bench and do.
What about swimming? Do you know
the weights on your feet?
If you're not that great at actually walking, what about swimming?
Swimming's good for your cardiovascular system. It's good for everything else. Yeah, it can be good for your muscles, especially if you're doing the front crawl, because you're using your legs.
Yeah.
And you're kicking with your legs against or even walking back and forward in the water is a good one for physiotherapy. They do that for a lot of people who have to rehabilitate and begin to walk again. They get them to walk in the water with the water supporting them. There's also other running machines and that which can actually hold you up. I've been on one of them when I had my knee and my knee done or my knee operated on and got back to physical fitness for running again.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be where I am before, but I don't want to be because I don't want to wear myself out far too quick.
Yeah.
That's the key here. It's sustainability and longevity. I think I had a meme up somewhere at some point in time. You know, when people have a goal, it obviously tells me they're knowing it for the long haul if they've got a goal.
Right. Okay.
Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just get in there then. That's it. You not got anything else after that. You know, you're obviously knowing it for the long haul if you just want to do that, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So the key here is about staying physically active, and research shows that people with regular significantly longer and protect all their internals, and it creates new neurons for your brain.
Yes.
Never thought about that, eh? Dementia creates new neurons from your stomach. Your gut actually creates new neurons when you exercise to a certain level, for new neurons for your brain, so you can actually regenerate your brain as well at the same time. It also creates things like dopamine. It creates things like serotonin, the happy drug that keeps you, you need that every day. All these different things are all about, your gut, and it's all about nutrition as well, and making sure you get the right sleep to make sure that all recovers and you replenish for the next day. So physical active is key here.
It's such a big. I was just going to say there is such a big connection between your physically active self and your mental health as well. There's such a big connection between the two.
Social connections is quite good. Something I'm not really good at. I've got to work on social connections. I'm quite an introvert. It'd be surprising for most people to hear that, but I am actually quite an introvert. I always say to people, they just wheel me out a darkened room and then perform, and then I go back into that darkened room once I'm finished, and just sit there. But literally, it's social connections. That's probably the biggest thing that's going to keep you going, because it does give you a sense of purpose if you've got social connections and people around about you.
I think as well, it's important to remember that we see social connections and keeping that your social interactions quite active, but also with the right people. We spoke about negativity and being optimistic and things, but if you've got the wrong people around you and it's not a supportive, positive environment, that's going to push you in the wrong direction and bring you down, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Beware of the people that are negative.
Mm-hmm.
Run for the hills away from these people. Yeah. I know some of them will be your family, and I have had to do that. I basically put my eggshell on when I go down to see them. Make sure I'm all protected. Negative can't get through into here, because this is what will influence you. So you put your eggshell on to protect yourself from negative from other people. Take so much and then go for it. Just leave. I've got to go somewhere. It's just one of these. It's just one of these things you've got to do. Definitely. Stay away from the negative people. If your partner's negative, I don't know, maybe consider a different option. would be the point of that. Maybe that's the person that's holding you back. Maybe you always wanted to do something and they just don't want you to do it. Maybe that's the wrong person you're with. It's New Year, new start.
We didn't want to hear stories of people going missing, though.
So strong social connections. Psychologists actually said that people have higher esteem, better outlook on life. Connections with family, friends, or even community groups are actually quite important as well. That will keep you going. It's not just about quantity. It's really the quality of these relationships are so important.
Which kind of relationships you've got and how.
Next one. This comes to the one I love. What is it, Richard? Practicing self-love.
Self-love, yeah. Self-love, self-care, I think, and self-love is And people might think, well, that's corny saying that, but it's like, if you don't love yourself, nobody else is going to.
Yeah, that is I've learned this throughout all my life, and it's 58 years so far. Yeah. And the one thing is, you can never love someone else if you do not love yourself first. Yeah. It's like the oxygen mask when it drops down from the plane. They tell you to put yours on before you can help someone else, and it's so true. If you don't love yourself, you ain't going to be able to love anybody else as a result. So you need to have a healthy self-respect for yourself and also self-love for yourself. I joke about it sometimes, about the fact I'd marry myself if I get a chance.
Quite believe that.
But that's really tongue in cheek. But it's also me reinforcing myself how important I am to me.
But that's the thing, and it's like, no matter how many important relationships you have with friends, family, or your significant other and things, the most arguably the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself.
Yeah, you're the person. I'll joke about it again. It's like, it's all very well for you people. I've got to put up with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Think about that.
So you need
And
to
it's the
love
same for
yourself.
everybody.
It'll be very
It's all
difficult.
very well for all your friends, but they don't have to put up with you for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
You do. So you better love yourself, and you better get
Yeah.
used to yourself, and you better be at ease with yourself. That's key and fundamental here. And this will help you move on and see better opportunities that come along. It is a definite necessity in life. You've really got to practice this sort of self-love to yourself. But that also takes into account things like embracing change, which is your sixth one here.
Yeah, number 6.
The embracing change is probably key here. So why should we embrace change, Richard?
So, I mean, change is inevitable, and I know a lot of people like to shy away from it, and people have a bit of fear about change and things, but change is inevitable in all aspects of life, and it can be scary. I mean, and sometimes there's changes that we've all went through in our life, and we've all find it quite scary. But if you think back, that change has probably been for the better in most cases.
Every
And
time.
and a lot of people try and resist change and holding on to the familiar things, the comfortable things. If you want to be successful or you want to get ahead in life or do anything, you need to embrace that change and move forward.
Well, if you are not where you want to be right now, then the only difference between where you are now and where you want to be is your adaptability to change.
Yeah.
Do you know, for the people that don't like change in life, and they like consistency, and they like things being constant, there's only one constant thing in life, and it's change.
It's change, yeah.
So just embrace it.
Mhm.
Change is constant. It will always happen. Nothing ever stays the same.
No, and think
And
about
once you understand that, then you'll get over it. Then you'll understand everything has to change for you to move forward, or you'd be where you are right now. If you're not where you are right now, then what got you to where you are won't get you to where you want to be, or you'd be there.
Yeah, and think of what the world would be like if we didn't embrace, if things didn't change and things just always stayed the same. We'd live in a very different world.
Think about the world would be like if everyone was like me. That'd be a frightening case. Why do they not think like me? Why do they not just do things like me? It's like, no, that would be a pretty chaotic place, I think. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
In anything, you can't all be the same personality type. By the way, I know for people recruiting. Here's one for people recruiting. If you're recruiting right now, or you're looking for people to join your team, you don't get people like you. By the way, they might have the same qualities as you, but they don't have the same emotion as you, or they don't have the same makeup. I mean, you might be introvert, they might be extrovert, and that's okay. But you might both be disciplined. You might both know that discipline's important. You might both know that being consistent is something's important. But what I mean is their personality type may be completely different from yours, and that's fine. That's the type of people you're looking for, because these are the people who will complement you and your team.
Yeah, and you need to have a good mix of people that could, like you say, complement each other and work as a team. If you had everybody that's exactly the same, you're going to have issues. You need
Well,
to have
I've tried it. I've tried it, and everybody wants to run the company all at once, and everybody wants to tell you after a few drinks on a night out. I've been there before, years and years ago. That's what used to happen. You'd get everybody, you'd recruit everybody. It's like yourself, and they think like you and they act like you. And the next minute, it's like then they would a couple of drinks, and they'd be like, "This is how you should run your company." And I'm like, "What? You don't even own it.
That's
You're
like
just working for me, and now you're telling me how to run it."
too many cooks in the kitchen, basically.
Needless to say, it's too many cooks spoil the broth.
Yeah.
Is the classic example, isn't it? And it stands true. These are all I like all these sayings. You know, a rolling stone gathers no moss. Well, what do you mean by that? My dad told me that one day. Rolling stone gathers no moss, Jim. I went, what do you mean? Well, if you keep jumping from place to place and learning something new every single time, you're learning something new. But unless you stick at something and it becomes your core competence, you'll never make anything out of anything at all.
Yeah.
Because you'll be too busy jumping to the next best thing. And it's like compounding wealth. In the first 5 years, it doesn't go great But then you get to the 5th year and it's like, wait a minute, oh wow, I'm making a bit more now.
Starts to
And
pick
the
up now.
6th year, oh, I'm making a bit more. 7th year, 8th year, 9th year, 30th year. It's like, oh my God, I'm making more and what I'm making every year and what I'm making my salary now.
Yeah.
And that's compounding wealth after 30 years. Imagine what it's like in 40 years. It's like, wow. I did that example yesterday of someone intrigued my interest yesterday. So I loved and intrigued my interest yesterday about this. And it was like, you know, if I started, where would I start and what would it be like on a spreadsheet again? And I got to something like 40,000 properties are buying within 40 years on the spreadsheet. But the reality was, the problem is the spreadsheet doesn't take into account that life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Other people make
That means
decisions
that.
which are outside of your control. Property prices don't stay the same. That legislation comes in place for everything. It's like, and it's fine. But I managed to get some sort of success out of it. So there was 40,000 properties. I'll never get there, to be honest. Well, never say never.
Quite
You never
a big,
know.
quite a big
You never
achievement.
know. When they've got the property fund, it's like, yeah, we might get to that, possibly, in maybe 30 years' time. Hence the reason why I need to be around to see that happening and make sure that happens as a result. So these are all certain things. So the one thing about change is change is inevitable. You have to embrace it. Look at it as a growth and a new opportunity, growth and self-discovery.
Yeah.
7th one.
So this is about prioritizing your mental health. And I think when you're on your own journey, there's a lot of things and a lot of factors, and you see life as well, Jim, comes into it, and it could have a kind of profound effect on people's mental side of things. And as we age, we start to understand the importance of our mental health, I think, and how it is important to have a good mental situation, because sometimes it's like it could really take its toll. And if you can't function properly, then you've got an issue. So your mental health is really important. I mean, Jim, you've shared some stories of your own over the years where you've had to reevaluate how your own situation is due to obviously everything that has an effect on you.
Well, I in the early days, I was of the mindset of you pay a price now or you pay it later, but at some point you'll pay the price. And I knew where I was going and where I wanted to be, and I had worked out on a spreadsheet anyway, and I knew it was just a case of time. That was it. It was time and how quick I can get there. So I realized I worked out to myself that the longer I work and the more hours I put into it, to where I was going, the faster I'll get there. But what I failed to realize was you have to take time out to sharpen your axe.
Yeah, the toll that was going to take on you without,
Yeah. It's the toll it takes. It's not an excuse for somebody sitting back and going, well, I'm not going to do that because it's going to affect me. It's like, you know, that's excuse number 75. If anybody wants that number, there's 74 excuses before that. My lawnmower is with the next door neighbour. It's another excuse, and because any excuse will do at the end of the day, won't it? For anybody who wants to excuse themselves from anyone or get out anything, they're just give an excuse and blame someone else for it. It's not my fault. It's like it's someone else. Well, it's really your fault because most things are in your control. You just choose it not to be, and you let someone else take control as a result of it.
Yeah.
So it always comes back to you. But prioritise mental health, yes. I think I'm not really sure who it was. If I was going to, you know, the expression was if I was going to chop down a tree, I think it was maybe Abe Lincoln or something like that. If I was going to chop down a tree, I would in 24 hours. I'd take 23 hours to sharpen my axe, and I'd take an hour to chop down the tree.
Yeah. Okay.
See what I mean about learning, and you only need 5 opportunities in your life to actually buy into to actually make a success, a really good success of what you're doing, not multiple opportunities. You know, 5 will do over a period of 40, 50 years, possibly. I could find one every 10 years. Whereas everybody puts so much pressure on themselves finding every single opportunity. That's it. You only need 5.
Yeah.
5 or 6. If not, probably maybe 2 or 3, to be honest, for most people, to make any moderate success or wealth creation throughout their life. I would definitely say that. And I know Buffett and Bezos and that will all agree as well, because it's basically their knowledge and expertise I pull on as well as a result. So definitely prioritize mental health.
Yeah.
Most important. And finally, the one to finish this off is living authentically. What do I mean by that? When I hear that, you tell me what that means. What does living authentically mean to you, Richard, when you say living authentically?
Well, I think when you think about living authentically, it's about being true to yourself, I think, about who, do you know, the expectations of what you're going to do and things. And it's like, can you actually do that? Can you actually follow through on that? Are you that type of person? For me, that's living authentically and being quite true to yourself and the people around you, I think.
Mm-hmm. Living authentically, to me, I would think it's being you.
Yeah, but
not you, but me, being the person you are. Now, Tony Robbins talks about this quite a lot when he talks about core beliefs and about being in alignment with your core beliefs.
Yeah.
So this is why you need to know yourself so much. Know thyself is the most important thing you could ever do. Self-love is the other one, because obviously know thyself, self-love are, basically complementary to each other, hand in hand. But definitely, if you're not in alignment with your current beliefs about what you believe in, deep down, what do you believe in? Should we look after our fellow man? Do we have a responsibility for whatever it is you want to do? Should we be the people that look after the people in our community and our society, or should we, or do we all fend for ourselves? There's core beliefs. One's fend, right, everybody should fend for themselves. The other belief is we should look after the people around about us with less opportunity. Maybe that's a core belief too. There's two conflicting core beliefs there. But could you imagine if your core belief is we're all in it for ourselves, and that's what you believe, and then you start to try and be a community player? That's going to rub you up the wrong way, and you're not going to be in alignment with what you think. Now, whether it's right or wrong is not what we're discussing here. But if you believe in we should look after our community and the people that are vulnerable in our community and help these people, and I am secondary towards that, then if you put yourself first, what happens? You begin to feel guilty. Because you've got something that no one else has got, and these people are having to suffer as a result of it, and you feel guilty for what you've got. Therefore, it's not in alignment with your beliefs, and therefore your body or your mind and your whole sense of being is out of sync with each other. They don't go into sync with each other, and that is key and fundamental. So you must, and living authentically means for me exactly what Tony Robbins is saying as well. Is you're in alignment with your core beliefs. And when you work towards an alignment with your core beliefs, you'll never have an unhappy day for the rest of your life. Now, the objective is not to be happy.
Be content.
The objective is to be content.
Yeah.
Hey, I get up every day, I've got a pulse. Woohoo! I'm further forward now than anybody else that's not here today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the living authentically thing as well, and I think it's something that you could pick up on quite early in life. It's like, if you think back, when you're younger and things, there's a lot of people that probably act or do things in a certain way that they maybe didn't agree with, or maybe isn't them, but they do it just to fit in or to be the right to be that kind of person in other people's eyes, and that's not living authentically. It's quite a good example.
It's also you've got something written down here about being honest with yourself. Yeah, and you can be honest with yourself about where you are right now, but also then at the back of that, then you can say, this is what we're going to do about it to solve it.
Yeah.
So you're having this conversation with yourself. Quite an interesting one I heard the other day, which was, and I'll see if I can replicate it and on here before we finish off. Was everybody, that voice in the back of your head when you see an opportunity and you hear that voice that says, that's no for the likes of us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the difference between the confident person and the not so confident person? Is the confident person hears that voice as well and completely ignores it.
Doesn't listen to it, yeah.
Doesn't listen to it at all. The not so confident person hears that voice and agrees.
Or here's the person that used to say it to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the difference. The person that goes on to success actually hears the same voice, but they don't actually believe it. They don't believe that voice. They just go, what do you know? Shut up, sit in the corner. No interest in what you've got to say. That's the difference between the person that's successful and the person that's not. When they hear that wee voice at the back of their head, one ignores it and one gives it energy. Remember I talked about?
Yep.
Where energy goes, or focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to, it's just like a fire. Social media is great for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Social media is brilliant for it. Because as soon as you comment on somebody's negative post, you automatically give them oxygen for their fire.
Yeah.
Look at it like that. So don't comment on their negative post. If you don't agree with it,
Just
and you
ignore
don't want anybody else to see it, don't comment on it at all. If you don't want anybody else to see that comment, as soon as you comment it, it opens it up to some of the people that are on your thing, and they get to see your comment, and then they might have a different opinion, and then they comment, and somebody else comments as a result. It's comments that do that. So don't give people fuel into the fire. Don't throw fuel into the fire by commenting on it. Don't do any likes or emotions or emojis or whatever it is on it if you don't want anybody else to see that. If you've read it, briefly read it. If you don't agree with it, move on straight away. If you hung about on that post for a long time and actually read all the way through it, then social media and their algorithm picks up on it and says, I'm going to show you more of this because you seem interested in this sort of subject.
Yeah, and that's
every single time.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same as it works in real life. I mean, that is real life, but it's on a computer and it's algorithmed. But that's exactly how the human brain works.
Yeah, and it's like you say, if you're feeling things like that, whether it's on social media or whether it's in real life, you feel it and you react to it in front of people and things, it just makes it more apparent to everybody.
And your focus will go where the energy is. And the energy is the comments that you make and also you make in your community. And therefore, that's what you begin to see in your community. This is why some people come on and go, oh, that place is horrible. And other people come on, you're having a laugh. This is like God's country. It's brilliant here. You've got a beach. You've got golf courses. You've got walks. You've got cycle routes. You've got running tracks. You've got a coastal path. You've got everything. And other people go, it's a dump. And you're like, I just don't see what you see.
Yeah.
But that is because of what I just spoke about. Focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
Every single time.
No, you're absolutely right.
So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be yourself. That's key here, because the world where you can be anything, the most beautiful thing you can actually be is yourself.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, Jim. And I think, although we picked quite a good topic for the time of year to talk about habits and positive habits and things, remember you don't need to wait to the 1st of January. Do you know, the time is now, I think, we always say.
Aye. Yeah. Surprise yourself. I'm going to stop drinking after New Year's night, because obviously you're wanting to get lashed. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to be teetotal for the whole of January. Why not just start now?
Do it now, yeah.
Do it now. Prove to yourself that you can do it. You know what I used to get asked all the time when I used to go, oh, I like this. I like smoking. When I was younger, I used to smoke. And somebody asked me one day and challenged me and says, if you like it, if you like smoking, why do you smoke? Oh, because I like it. You're addicted to it. That's why you smoke. No, I'm not. Well, stop now then. Prove it. Stop now. No, I'm not going to stop because of this and because of that. Every excuse under the sun.
Yeah.
Next door neighbour's got my lawnmower. It's like any excuse will do. I just didn't want. I don't want to stop. And that for me tells you everything. It's like if you can go Prove it to yourself. Just don't drink on New Year's night. Oh, but I want to drink. I don't want to deny myself. There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe got a problem.
Yeah, that's the
That's
first.
challenging for a lot of people, eh? Maybe
Yeah.
got a drink problem then. No, I've no. Some of
And
them will be saying that. Listen to
they're
this.
on the defensive.
No, I've
Yeah.
no. I've not got a drink problem. I could stop any time. Well, stop now then.
Yeah.
And prove it to yourself for the next week. Then come back to me and say you've done it. I don't drink anymore, by the way.
That'll be a trigger for a lot of people, definitely.
Easy for me to say.
Anyway, so no, that was good. Thanks for obviously all your insights as usual, Jim, and everybody that joined in the comments. And kept watching while we were streaming today, so that's good. And we'll be back next Monday as usual, 12:30 for the Wealth Creation Show, and it'll be 2025 next year.
Yep. I'll see you next year.
Right, I'll see you next year. Thanks, Jim.